Ruchit, Ashish and Mohit are now joining. Ruchit, I'll come to you first on this one now. What would the trade be on the Nifty? Would you go long on the Nifty for the May series with a stop loss of 9,300?
Very good morning. Well, overall, the broader trend for the markets no doubt continues to remain positive. In fact, if we just observe the entire month of April, then we had seen for first 3 weeks, we had seen a good range-bound movement coming in the index. Now, and after that range-bound move, the markets have resumed the uptrend by by crossing its previous high. So this is an indication that whenever we have seen a corrective moves in this up move, there are more of a time correction rather than price correction, which is a positive sign. Also, there's a broad market participation, and specifically amongst specific large cap stocks have also been participating in this up move. So I think the May series is also going to be quite robust. We are going to see some good positive momentum on the higher side. Yes, 9300, 9275 range has become a very strong base for our markets now. So I won't keep a stop loss below 93 at 9300, but in fact, no, if we get any price around 9300, I think that would be a good opportunity to again create long positions. On the higher side, 9410 would be the first target area, which is a 161.8% retracement of the recent corrective move. And once we surpass this 9410, I think we should head higher towards 9600 kind of levels. So definitely one should not preempt any kind of top getting formed over here unless we get any signs of reversals. Any price around 9300 should be used as a buying opportunity for this current month.
Ruchit, what's the trade on Bank Nifty? How would you approach Bank Nifty for the May series?
Well, in fact, Bank Nifty has shown a good outperformance in last 1 week. So we believe that this outperformance would tend to continue. Also, if you observe last 4 or 5 months when these markets have given up move, the Bank Nifty has acted as a leadership. So I think this leadership is going to continue. We have seen some good positive momentum coming in the specific large cap names such as HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, and also if you observe some of the laggards amongst the large cap names such as Axis and ICICI are two now seem to be forming a good support base. So I think going ahead, this outperformance in the Bank Nifty is also likely to continue, and we are this leadership is going to continue in the Bank Nifty as well. On the high side, 22,410 is one of the resistance, which is 161.8% retracement of the previous corrective move on the weekly charts. We are almost near to that resistance level, and the way the heavyweights are showing some outperformance, I think this resistance is going to get crossed, and we are going to see a level somewhere around 22,800 to 22,900 in this series.
Ashish, we've ended the April series and it's been a 2% gain there. We've started with lighter open interest positions, right? Around 1.97 crores. We started with around 2.3 in the last series. And secondly, we've started with 85% long positions on index futures by FIIs. There's strong call writing, but there's also even call and put long accumulation. So what do you make of the setup going ahead?
Morning. So I think, see, broadly the structure is quite positive. If you look at data clearly, we have seen a shift in put writing happening from 8,800 to 9,000 and from 9,000 to 9,200 levels. Definitely what you mentioned is right, is that even at a higher level around 9,500, there is a good amount of open interest addition. That clearly indicates that there is a lot of call writing happening even at a higher level. But broadly speaking, this is a range for the market, wherein on downside 9,200 will be a very, very important support for the market, whereas on the upside we might see a lot of resistance around 95 levels. But if you look at April series, what was happening was around 9200 there was a clear call writing happening, but despite that April series closed above 9300 mark. That's a sign that even short writers or call writers, they are not getting a hold of writing a position. So I think even this time around 9500, even if there is a call writing happening, this call writing might shift from 9500 to 9700 once market decisively sustain above 9350 mark for next 2-3 trading sessions in the May series. So my sense is that on downside, till we don't see a clear break below 9250, 9200, the entire trend is positive, and we are moving towards the zone of 9500 initially, and once we sustain this 9400 mark for a day or two, I think the possibility of Nifty crossing 9500 and testing 9650 becomes very, very high.
Right. Mohit, what do you think about the Bank Nifty? Is there more scope on the Bank Nifty relative to the Nifty at this stage?
So the bank nifty is looking attached stronger than the nifty on the whole, because we've seen really good movement in the PSU stocks, as well as Kotak Bank and a few other private sector banks have led the up move, like HDFC Bank. Even Yes Bank for that matter was strong in trade yesterday. What you've seen on the bank nifty is seen an 800-point rally in the last 4 or 5 sessions. Now, because today is the last day of the week, I kind of think just for the day perhaps we may not break out on the upside. It may be a kind of a sideways to range bound day on the nifty and the bank nifty broadly. And the bank nifty is still looking very positive as long as we're trading above levels of 22,100. The bias has to be on the upside from a very short term point of view, and a positional point of view. If you're trading above levels of say 22,000, then you got to continue trading on the long side, because it will be small corrections or sideways reactions to the broader up move that we've seen. On the nifty also, I think the crucial level is 9250. As long as we're above 9250, the uptrend is intact and we can continue to trade on the long side. Yes, you may not see, like I said, up moves immediately, perhaps not today, because it being a Friday and we've already seen maybe a 250-point rally on the nifty in the last 4 sessions. So perhaps it will be a sideways day, but broadly the trend is on the upside, and as long as 9250 holds, you should continue to have that view.
Ruchit, what would your top trades be for the May series? Any stocks that you would be looking to acquire today?
Yeah, among the stock specific, we are recommending to go long in Siemens. The capital goods sector, in fact, has done quite well in the recent past and is expected to continue this outperformance. Siemens has been forming this high top, high bottom structure, and if we observe the weekly charts, then the prices are showing further strength, and the previous highs are getting crossed with good volumes. So we believe that at current levels also one should look to accumulate Siemens with stop loss below 1274. We are expecting target around 1430 in this series for the stock. And my second pick is from the cement sector, Ambuja Cement. In fact, the entire cement pack during April series, we saw leadership getting started with ACC, Ultratech Cement, Grasim, most of the cement packs, and even during the last week, the mid-cap cement packs have also attracted very good volumes. So when we see some such kind of huge volumes coming in after a consolidation phase, that's usually a sign that the sector is poised for a trended up move. So we believe that in this series, cement sector would be one of the sector which could do phenomenally well. Ambuja Cement is one of the stock which has seen a good consolidation, and we believe that the stock is likely to head higher in the near term. So with the stop loss below 242, we are expecting target around 263 in next couple of weeks time frame. So cement would be one of the sector where one should focus for the May series, and Ambuja Cement is likely to be one of the top picks amongst this sector.
Right, that's the buy calls coming in from Ruchit. But Hiral's also standing by with more details on stocks and news this morning. Hiral, what else should we be watching out for on back of news today?
Firstly, you have a Lupin that will be in focus. We might see a negative reaction there as the Goa plant has received an adverse FDA observation. We will take a detailed one later on, but watch out for that counter. Apart from that, obviously you have a PVR as well as UFO movies that will be in focus on the back of Bahubali 2, as the domestic release is almost 6,500 screens, and over 1 million tickets have already been sold within 24 hours on the booking window on Book My Show. So watch out for both these counters in trade. On the back of earnings, you have a Hatsun Agro, a pretty strong set of numbers, so again a positive reaction expected there. You have a Motilal Oswal that has reported numbers, a steady set of numbers reported in terms of where a MOSL is concerned, so watch out for that one as well. Indiabulls Ventures as well, a strong set of numbers that have been reported, wherein the profits have gone up by almost 410%, so almost 5.1 times, so watch out for Indiabulls Ventures. Indiabulls Real Estate as well, again it's a slightly muted set of numbers that have come in, so again a negative reaction can be expected on Indiabulls Real Estate. And lastly, you have Reliance Capital as well that will be in focus on the back of earnings, and HCC, wherein Brookfield is eyeing HCC's road project in Bengal, and this is for around 1,500 crores, and the project has a debt of almost 1,700 crores. So watch out for all these counters as we just open in terms of where markets go.
All right, thanks for getting us all those stocks and news here. We're 2 minutes away, or 2.5 minutes away from pre-open. We'll see how that pans out. But the SGX was indicating to a mildly positive start. So we are absolutely flat at this point. 9364 is where we are. Very quickly, let's get some stocks in focus as well. I mean, there are 16 new stocks that will be added to the F&O category today. So we'll have a total of over 200 stocks. So we'll be watching out for that as well. Some counters include, of course, MRPL, top of the mind. There's Balakrishna, NBCC up on your screen. Mahanagar Gas also, Berger Paints, Canfin Homes, Cholamandalam. Ashish, any call on any of these? I know, I mean, you don't have past data, but how do some of these stocks look? Any preferences from here? Bajaj Finserv is also there.
Yeah, so see, if you look at in terms of technical structure, most of the stocks like NBCC, Canfin Homes, Cholamandalam Investment, these are showing amazing strength in last couple of weeks and months, and I think the trend is going to continue in most of these stocks, and once they enter into F&O, there will be a good amount of participation, so that will create a lot of liquidity also. So I think stocks like Cholamandalam Investment, Canfin Homes, Bajaj Finserv, and for that matter NBCC, these are the 4 stocks within this entire basket which is getting into addition. Looks very, very interesting to me.
Mohit, I mean, Yes Bank has had a stellar run from 1100 levels to now what we see on the screen, which is nearly 1650, 4% higher yesterday as well. So it's clearly becoming a trader favorite, right?
Well, we're seeing a big up move, even though after results we saw that kind of gap down and it held levels of 1525, 1530 zones. We're seeing a nice up move now, and now this can extend towards levels of even 1690 to 1700 on the upside. I think a stop loss of 1620 would be good on Yes Bank.
Right. What about Kotak Bank, Ashish? Do you track this one? I mean, I'm guessing it will continue to remain in focus post earnings, post picking up stake from Old Mutual this morning.
Yeah. So I think clearly the stock is in a very good strength. If you look at last 3 months rollovers, it is showing a lot of positive action in the stock, and the kind of volumes and delivery pickup which is happening in the stock. It seems that the stock is poised for a move towards 1020 mark. So I think even at current levels, one can initiate a long and use any dip towards 900, 895 to average the long positions. Broadly speaking, till we don't see a breakdown below 880, the entire trend is positive, and the stock is poised for a move in short term for 1020 levels.
Right, it's 20 seconds to go as we gear up for pre-open trade. It might just be a flat start for the markets. I guess the focus will be on gold. It is Akshaya Tritiya, so you will see a lot of buying that will come into the commodity. Not forgetting that this is an auspicious occasion. In fact, one of the 4 most auspicious occasions for Indians in the year. It's one of those days when people will go out and acquire any sort of asset and expect it to generate wealth on those buys. Well, staying with that theme, watch out for gold. That will be important. You might also see investors going out and picking equity up as an investment buy. 9300 on the Nifty, that seems to be threatened in pre-open trade, trading around those levels now. 9338, so settling down is what we're getting. In flat start is what's expected on the Nifty. In terms of your big movers and shakers, you'll have a whole bunch of counters to watch out first on back of earnings. If I can just pull up Kotak Bank and see what it's getting up to. Yes, the earnings came up before market close yesterday, but this morning in the press conference, management of Kotak has addressed that they would pick up, or they have acquired 26% stake in the JV in the insurance business for about 1,290 crores. Now, what this means for the insurance business, the impact this is going to have on its earnings, synergies for the bank is what we will have to wait and find out. The stock trading flat in pre-open trade. Well, moving on from Kotak, let's also take a look at the other names. So Biocon earnings were a bit of a disappointment, not comparable as much year on year on back of a base effect that played out last in an exceptional item that was seen. So optically, those numbers look weak. The stock down about 6% in trade right now. This is pre-open levels, of course. TVS and Maruti earnings reaction was seen in the second half of trade yesterday, but it wouldn't surprise me these counters continue to see a reaction today as well. TVS was at a cusp of market closing, so the stock is now reacting to earnings. 3% lower in pre-open is what we've got. Maruti, on the other hand, is trading flat. A few other names to watch out for apart from the ones already mentioned. Indian Tourism Development Corporation. This one has been extremely active in terms of trade over the last couple of weeks. They are to transfer stake in a JV subsidiary companies, 51% equity stake in MP Ashok Hotel Corporation in to the Madhya Pradesh state government. So watch out for this one. It's up another 10% in trade right now. Hatsun Agro Products, the board of directors have approved raising funds of about 500 crores through QIP. The stock is already up 5% in pre-open trade. DCB, on back of the QIP, they managed to raise 380 crores. The stock should be in focus. PVR ahead of Bahubali is up about 1% in trade, right? And a whole bunch of other smaller earnings as well will be something that stocks will be reacting to. A check on the dollar rupee pair before we go across and get a sense of what is going on. 64 tenths, it's a flat start on the local currency. Partha Bhattacharya now joins in. Parth, what's the call on the rupee? What's the trading range for the day?
Good morning. Rupee, I think, opened around 64.10.11. So yesterday also it was around the same level. I think U.S. market did well, and you expect the Indian market to continue to remain strong. FII flows, institutional flows have been very, very strong year to date. From January this year, about 9.5 billion in debt and $6.6 billion in equity. So that flow is helping the rupee to appreciate in a big way. And as you have seen, RBI comes in and picks up dollars sporadically, not in a very aggressive way. They are letting rupee appreciate. Whether it will continue or not depends a lot on the flows, and there are global uncertainties, whether geopolitical, something happening in North Korea, Syria, Afghanistan, or what happens to US GDP growth today, US budget shutdown today, possible potential budget shutdown. Hopefully it won't happen. The market will look to US GDP growth today, expected to be very low, and conflicting noise about NAFTA, 250-word tax cut plan, all these things, and DXY, even including Trump's talk about pre-election talk about dollar, stronger dollar to now to weaker dollar. So DXY has come down to 98, 70. It was a low, and then it is moving back a little bit. So dollar index will influence rupee movement in a big way. Yesterday, BOJ and European Central Bank left the easing policy biased as it is. Rates as it is, despite Eurozone growth being solid and broad as per Draghi. Institutional flow will, in fact, impact rupee in a big way. Rupee also, macroeconomic factors are good, strong, but there are uncertainties about huge NPA issue, hardly any capex by the private sector, historical low credit growth, etc. Concerns remain. So rupee appreciation, whether it will continue unabated, is a question mark. I don't think RBI will stop rupee appreciation in very big way. It has allowed for rupee to appreciate from 68, 80 to this current level. You have seen the forex reserve has also not grown very strongly. You will see the next report. Possibly it will show some higher growth. I expect the rupee to appreciate a little bit. 63.90 is the level to watch, but some more rupee appreciation steam is, I think, on the cards.
Thanks, Parth. Good talking to you this morning. That's the view coming in the local currency. It is a lot of dollar play that we are seeing. A weaker dollar is also what's stemming the local currency. And let's not forget the rupee has been the best performing currency in the month of April. And there hasn't been too much intervention coming in from the Reserve Bank of India. So they've not been intervening as aggressively as they do in the last few days, giving us a sense that maybe there's a change in stance of the Reserve Bank of India here, where they seem to be comfortable, even though the rupee has seen a sharp rise in the last few days. Well, coming back to talking stocks, a few big movers again. We've talked about Yes Bank already. Kotak has already been mentioned too. A couple of other ones, I don't know, Mohit, we've talked about this earlier as well. Indian Tourism Development Corporation, this morning a 10% up move on the stock.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't find the chart.
Okay, so we'll come back on that India Tourism Development Corporation. Ruchit, how is Biocon looking this morning? I mean, in pre-open, there's a huge cut post-earnings disappointment.
See, what the stock has done during this uptrend of entire last, I think, 1.5 years, the 89 EMA on the daily charts has acted as a very crucial support on every corrective moves. So as of now, I think one needs to wait for any kind of confirmation before jumping into a conclusion, just looking at the pre-open prices. This 89 EMA is now placed around 1055. So today's closing would be very important if the stock manages to give a firm closing above 1055 and manages to sustain above that support zone. So I think this stock would tend to still remain in an uptrend. So any kind of long positions, if there are there, I think one should still continue to hold, keeping a stop loss below somewhere around 1050 on closing basis.
Right, that's the call coming on Biocon. Clearly, an earnings reaction is what is playing out on the counter. 3.5% cut right now. Ashish, TVS, again, earnings reaction that to 3% low in pre-open.
Yeah, so I think since it has corrected from an all-time high and with good amount of volumes, there can be some short-term dip in the stock. But broadly speaking, I don't see any major correction in the stock. There can be a dip towards 468, 470 zone in days to come. But eventually around those levels, I think the stock might find some support. So broadly speaking, at this point of time, one should avoid going long or short in the stock.
Right, that's an avoid coming on TVS Motors. I'm asking another stock, Mohit, and this one only because it's been pretty active in trade, is Reliance Capital. You've got a call on the stock?
Well, yes, Reliance Capital was a buy call day for yesterday. It's moved up smartly in trade yesterday. I think this up move can continue to move higher towards levels of perhaps 690, next 695 zones. So yeah, this up move is looking good, and now one can move their stop losses to perhaps levels of 660, 662 zones for targets of 695.
Right, this comes in after a 5% gain that the stock saw yesterday. So still looking good is the view coming in from Mohit. Apart from that, you've got a couple of other NBFCs that have been doing well. Ruchit, Group Finance, 4.5% rally yesterday. IDFC Limited was up 5% yesterday. Anything on these NBFCs for trade today?
I think among both these names, IDFC Limited is likely to show good momentum in today's trade as well. We have seen already a good consolidation phase has been seen in the stock since the month of November itself. The stock was trading in the range of 62, 52, 51 on the lower side. Now, what has happened in yesterday's trading session? Not only that range has gotten broken, but the stock has attracted quite higher volumes if we see on the daily charts. So I think this is going to sustain up move. We could see some kind of levels around 64 coming in next 2 or 3 trading sessions itself. And in fact, if the stock, if we see from the positional basis, then it has the potential to rally further higher up to 68, 69 kind of levels. So I think IDFC Limited would be one of the picks where traders can look from a short-term perspective.
Mohit, what are your top trades for this morning?
Well, I have a buy on IDFC Limited. It's looking good on the charts. Can head higher towards levels of 65. It's a buy with a stop around levels of 60. The second buy call is on Uflex. This again looking very good on the charts, trading at 52-week highs. This can continue to head higher towards levels of 350. It's a buy with a stop around levels of 336. The third buy call is on Emami, given a fresh up move from a nice base formation. This can head higher towards levels of 1075 to 1080. It's a buy with a stop around levels of 1040. And the last one is Petron Engineering. This has actually seen a really nice breakout on heavy volumes locked up on upper circuit yesterday. We could see levels of 190 here, and it's a buy with a stop around levels of 170.
We also have with us R. Sri Shankar, Head Institutional Equities of Prabhudas Leeladhar joining in. Sri Shankar, what's your call in the markets right now? Are you beginning to get a little uncomfortable with the way we've rallied up, where valuations clearly at this point are unjustified?
Yeah, our call has been the markets will be range bound probably with an upper limit of around 9,500. So I don't think that there has been anything so far in the last 1 month for me to change that thought process. So we still view the market to be in a trading zone, and at least for the next 3 months, it'll be between 8,800 to 9,500 range, and that's a range that we have. I mean, it's not a technical range; it's more from coming from a fundamental point of view. And I don't think we are changing that range right now.
Ashish, what are your top trades today?
Yeah, so my first pick would be a long idea on a PSU bank, which is Andhra Bank. If you look at Andhra Bank, the stock has formed a major double bottom on the weekly and monthly charts and has given a fresh breakout above 64 levels. During this breakout and the consolidation phase, we have observed a very strong open interest addition in the stock, and already we are seeing a very strong rollovers in most of the PSU banking basket. So I think Andhra Bank is one stock which looks good for 10% upside from current levels. One can initiate a long, keeping a stop below 64, and an upside can look for a short-term target of 70 to 74 levels in Andhra Bank. My second long idea would be on Indigo, which is seeing a good consolidation and has seen a very strong open interest addition in last couple of trading sessions. I think this stock has a potential to cross 1200 mark, so one can initiate a long position at current levels, keeping a stop below 1095, and upside can look for a target of 1200 to 1220 levels. My third pick would be from the cash segment, which is the UFO movies. We have seen a very strong volumes picking up in the stock, and the stock is forming a strong base around this 440 450 mark and has seen a good breakout on the weekly charts above 460 levels yesterday. So I think this stock has a potential to test 520 in short term. However, looking into the broader structure, I think this stock has a potential to even cross 560 570 mark, but for that I think for that to happen, I think the stock should sustain beyond 500 levels, but in a shorter term we expect the stock to target 500 to 520 levels. So one can initiate a long in UFO with a stop below 445 and can look for a target of 520 levels. Again, one more cash pick would be Jindal Poly, which has seen a very strong volume participation in last couple of trading sessions, and already we are seeing a very strong buying in most of the poly stocks like Uflex, Polyplex, and so I think within that in that entire space is looking interesting. One can initiate a long in Jindal Poly with a stop below 438, and upside can look for a target of 480 to 500 levels.
Right, thanks for that, Ashish. Srishankar, coming back to the markets and earnings, I'm just going to quickly do a few earnings that we've seen. So what did you make of TVS and Maruti? What is your call on these two auto majors post their earnings?
So TVS I've not looked into. I need to have a relook at it. But Maruti, it has been a steady growth, and more important than the preceding quarter. The kind of what we expect Maruti to perform is new product launches, which is all pretty doing well. The more offering that they have, and when you look into the entire passenger car segment, I don't think anyone has got the kind of an offering that Maruti has got, the range that Maruti has got. Some you may see in the super premium segment the Mercs and the BMWs and whatnot. You'll find the Skodas and all those kind of or the Audis, but the amount of volume sold in the top end of the segment is not that great. But when you look at the medium size segment and the smaller size segment, where you see the number of the penetration levels are pretty high and the offtake is very high. The range that Maruti has, I don't think is not there with most of the other players, all the multinational players, be it Ford, be it Volkswagen Group and everything, be it General Motors. So you have seen some of the other players getting a bit squeezed, and from a long-term point of view, with newer and more product launches from Maruti continues to be something which is very attractive. It has got a product at every price point for every customer, which is not there in the other cases. So I think Maruti, yes, it's not very cheap, it's expensive, and but we continue to like it because the product, the growth still looks good.
Srinakar, give us a minute, we'll come back to you to chat about Maruti and generally your stock picks in this market. Gearing of a market opening, it's going to be a flat start. Yesterday as well was pretty inconsequential in terms of closing. We did end the day at historic levels, 93.29, so about 12 points off on the Nifty is what we're getting in the first few ticks. A whole host of counters will be reacting to earnings. The first up, a check on Biocon, because that had earnings that optically disappointed the street. The counter could be seeing a big cut in terms of trade. 2% lower is what we've got on Biocon. TVS Motors as well, earnings were announced at the cusp of market closing, so you didn't really get a full reaction to earnings. Again, the street was a little upset or rather disappointed with what they saw on TVS Motors. The counter is now trading nearly 2% lower. Well, pull up Kotak Mahindra Bank. It's been a good quarter for the bank. Stellar performance once again coming in. And this morning we heard from the management that they've gone out and picked up 26% stake from their joint venture partner Old Mutual in their insurance business. The counter not reacting at all to that. Trading flat right now on Kotak Mahindra Bank. Well, a couple of other ones that have been in focus. So take a look at how India Tourism Development Corporation is doing. It's a mid-cap player, but still worth a mention because the gains on the counter would be pretty large. This has been very active in the last couple of days and continues to look pretty good. 6.5% higher on ITDC is what we've got. Hatsun Agro Products, they've approved fundraising plans of about 500 crores through a QIP. The stock trades 6% higher right now. DCB has raised about 380 crores through a QIP, and that stock should be reacting to that news. 0.3% higher is what we've got. Indraprastha Gas, they propose to increase FI limit to 30% subject to shareholder approval. The counter is trading 1.5% higher. Jindal Steel and Power, they raised about 600 crores through a private placement of debentures subject to shareholder approval. The counter is up about 1.5%. Ashok Leyland, NRB Bearings, Jubilant Life Science says they've got no plans to list on the Singapore exchange, which is contradictory to the information we were talking about yesterday. But if you can just pull up Jubilant Life Science, the management confirming there is no Singapore listing that they're eyeing for now at least. Capital First have acquired 8% and CN up about 4.25 crores, trading flat. Prism Cement, Vascon all trading positive. All eyes on Ambuja. They will announce earnings later on in the day. It's expected to be a good quarter. You might see Ambuja picking up some strength ahead of its earnings later on in the day. Of the Nifty 50, the Nifty itself is now down 0.3%. So starting of the series at around 93.11 in terms of trade right now. Grasim is marginally higher. Maruti posts its earnings. Tata Motors, IndusInd Bank, Bank of Baroda back on the buying list. Axis Bank, Asian Paints, ONGC are all having a positive session in trade right now. On the sell side, HUL, ITC, HDFC Bank, Cipla, Wipro, Yes Bank are seeing some profit taking. Bank Nifty is performing in line with the benchmark. You've got IDFC, PNB, Bank of Baroda and Axis trading positive. Stocks like Yes Bank are seeing some minor profit taking right now. Mid-cap space is trading flat and the small cap index also not trading positive right now. Stocks like BPL are up about 4% in the session as we speak. Sri Shankar, I'm going to very quickly come to you because I guess we're running out of time as well. But what are your top stock picks in this market?
No, we have not changed our topics which we had in the last during the last pre-quarterly. We still continue with the same topics, except that in some cases stocks have moved up quite sharply. So it's a big challenge. How much is upside left in these stocks in the near term? But the fact remains that we continue to like HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and SBI in the banking space, and L&T Finance in the non-banking space. That's our preferred picks. Similarly in pharma, we like Glenmark and Aurobindo. Like in FMCG, Britannia is our favorite pick, and Maruti, I did mention we continue to like it, and Lever. And in the IT pack, we like Infosys and HCL Technology. So these are the these constitute majorly the large cap universe, with Larsen & Toubro being the infra player. In the mid caps, we like IGL, Jindal Steel and Power, Sadbhav Engineering, Thyrocare, Navneet Education, VRL Logistics, among others. So our topics have been pretty consistent for some period, and we continue to see this as a stage wherein you will probably see the worst being over for the banks in terms of their provisioning, etc., and the growth slowly getting back, and the growth will be much more pronounced only after the GST data kicks in and probably a quarter or two passes after that. So I think it is going to be more or less a market rally where you will see a price earning multiples expansion, which we are continuing to see. That will continue for some more time.
Sri Shankar, very quickly, have you been tracking, or has real estate been in your buy list? And I'm talking about Indiabulls Real Estate in particular. Stock is another 4% down today. Do you have a view on this one?
No, I don't have any view on it. We don't cover Indiabulls Real Estate.
Okay, thanks, Sri Shankar. Good talking to you this morning. Ruchit, do you track Indiabulls Real Estate? It's again turning very volatile, and I think a lot of traders have been caught on the wrong side with this stock. 4% cut on Indiabulls Real Estate. What's the way forward?
Definitely, this real estate space has attracted a lot of traders' attention in last couple of weeks. Earlier, we had seen no good breakouts coming in many of the stocks such as Indiabulls Real Estate, DLF. But I think the corrective move which is coming right now, today we are seeing some sort of correction in this sector. So I think this would just be a part of a corrective move within an uptrend. the short-term trend for these stocks would continue to remain up. If you observe, then the stock has major support coming in around 125, 130 kind of range, although lower from current levels. But I think we are not going to see a significant or any huge declines from current levels. So I think dip should be used as a buying opportunity. Definitely, you need to have patience and to see such kind of volatility in stocks such as Indiabull Real Estate. But any kind of further declines around 130, 127 kind of range should be used as a buying opportunity.
Right. A couple of other earnings reaction that we're seeing in the streets. So, Ashish, you want to tell me what you think of Hatsun Agro and Ujjivan?
Yep. See, as far as Hatsun Agro is concerned, the stock is trading at an all-time high, and today, there is some profit booking because obviously the stronger move has come in. But I think the kind of structure the stock has formed on downs around to 620, 625, we'll see a lot of buying interest in the stock. So I think broadly the structure is intact and the stock is poised for a move towards 700, 720 zone in days to come. As far as Ujjivan is concerned, I think this is looking little weak to me. Despite the entire NBFC space showing a great amount of strength, we have not seen a similar up move happening in Ujjivan, and clearly the stock is forming a lower top lower bottom formation. So I think this stock might see a correction till 350 355 zone.
Mohit, have you identified anything in pre-open that could be a good short or long call for traders this morning?
Well, Asian Paints was looking okay and holding out pretty smartly in trade, so this can perhaps head higher towards levels of 1125, 1130 zones. This could be bought with a stop around 1100, and even in Indocount ICIL is looking good on the charts. This can head higher towards levels of maybe 215. It's a buy with a stop around levels of 203.
Right, that's the few stocks that have been identified by Mohit in opening trade. Ruchit, what about you? Have you spotted anything interesting right now?
I think one of the sectors that short-term traders could focus on is the auto pack. If you observe the Nifty Auto Index, then after a broad consolidation phase, this index has given a breakout in last couple of trading sessions, and even today we are seeing a good momentum coming in the auto space as well. So largely the stocks which have participated in this breakout were Mahindra and Mahindra, Bajaj Auto, and Maruti. So I think these three continues to would continue to show some good outperformance in next few trading sessions. Even from 1 or 2 days perspective, we can see some good momentum again picking up in M&M and Bajaj Auto. So preferably on the auto pack would be the one space where traders could focus on with more stock specific momentum, positive momentum expected in Maruti, M&M and Bajaj Auto.
Right, that's the call coming in. Mohit, HCC is up nearly 3%. Do we have a trade going here at 47?
Well, see, the chart structure is positive. I wouldn't really say a trade, but yeah, if one's looking to buy and hold this, you can. You need to have a deeper stop around levels of perhaps 43.50, and you could see levels of even maybe levels of 53 in the coming week or so, 2 weeks. So it's got a positive chart structure. It's more a positional trade than a short-term trade.
And Ashish, would you have a contra buy in any of these IT or pharma names for the May series?
Not really. So I think the entire strength is in the PSU banking space and in capital goods space, and also we are seeing a lot of buying interest in stocks like Exide Industries. So I think my focus would be on those stocks rather than IT or pharma.
Right, and in the PSU banking space, how does the Bank of Baroda look? Because after months, this one has turned out to become a top performer on daily basis now.
So it looks interesting. I think stock is poised for a move towards 190 to 193 zone. On downside, I think 180 should act as an important support, so one can initiate a long keeping that as a stop loss. But I think my top pick would be Andhra Bank, where the structure is clearly very strong, and we have seen a very strong open interest addition. So I think there we might see 10% upside from current levels.
Right, Ruchit, it wasn't just Indiabulls real estate, but some of the other real estate names like Prestige are also trading quite weak right now. Are we doing anything with these other realty names, or Indiabulls is the only top pick you have for the sector?
See, I think no one needs to give more focus on the stocks which have attracted good volumes in this recent up move. So if we see, then we are not quite upbeat on entire sector as a whole, But some of the stocks, which on declines, which could be used to buy. Is one of them is Indiabull Real Estate. We already spoke about it. DLF is other stock which on the weekly charts has recently given a good breakout with increasing volume. So I think on the lower side, any kind of minor further declines in DLF should be also used as a buying opportunity. The stock has now formed a very strong support base around 175 kind of range. So and apart from that, even Soba Developers has recently given up move with very good volumes. A breakout was there with good volume. So one needs to focus on the stocks where the volumes were very good during up move, rather than just rather than taking a bet on the entire sector as a whole. So IB Real is there, which had attracted good volumes. Apart from the DLF and Soba Limited would be a couple of other names where one should look to go long on declines.
Right. Mohit, how would you trade Ambuja ahead of its earnings today?
Well, as far as Ambuja goes, this on the charts is kind of holding out where in trade, and we're kind of seeing a range bound movement between levels of perhaps 238, 237 on the downside, and 251 on the upside. So I'd actually wait for a breakout above levels of 251. If post earnings, on the back of good earnings, we get a breakout above levels of 251, then yeah, one can go long, and you could see targets of even 262 on this. But if say the earnings are bad, and if we do break levels of 238 on the downside, then we can head lower towards even 230. So I'd wait for this range to break out, and if it's supported by the earnings on the upside or negative earnings on the downside, then you'll see follow through.
Ashish, at 22,235.40, what does one do on Bank Nifty? Could this be a trade on the long side, maybe for a day or two?
I think there can be some, consolidation at current levels, because we have witnessed some amount of call writing happening. So I think maybe around 22,100, 140, that becomes a good area to go long in Bank Nifty. So wait for a dip of another 100, 140 points. Once that come in, I think that at around those levels one can initiate a long, keeping a stop below 22,000. And on upside, we believe that 22,500, 600 could be the possible target in Bank Nifty.
Ruchit, what are you doing with Reliance Industries? I mean, it's had such a stellar run in the last couple of months. The last month as well has been very strong for the stock. I mean, could this even be a trade? Could there even be a trade here at 1,400 if someone's looking to go long?
Yes, absolutely. One should not only look at what has happened in last 2-3 trading sessions, but rather look this chart from a broader or a bit of a medium-term perspective. Now, what has happened that the stock during last month has given a breakout from 8 years of consolidation phase, and which has been backed up by very good volumes. So usually when you see such a long-term breakout with good volumes, that's a sign of a sustain or a prolonged uptrend in the stock. So we believe that this uptrend, which has just started from the levels of 1100, is going to continue a lot further on the higher side. Now, if we talk from a trading perspective, then around 1345, 1350 is a good support range for the stock. So there are no signs of any kind of reversals in the stock. Any kind of corrective moves are likely to be sideways or time-wise consolidation rather than price corrections coming in. So I think one should keep a view of at least next couple of months perspective, and definitely even at current levels one can look to go long. Keep a stop loss below 1330, and we can expect targets beyond 1500 in next couple of months.
And Adani Enterprise and Adani Transmission have been very active in the last couple of days. Very sharp moves and volatile trade has been seen. Today, both those counters are trading flat to slightly negative. Mohit, would today's weakness be any reason for a trader to pick up an enterprise or a transmission to trade on the long side?
I would not want to do that, because we've seen extreme volatility, especially on the downside on both these counters, and I'd want to stay away from these counters until things settle and there's more clarity in trend. But talking about clarity in trend, one stock that has got an extremely strong trend is Bajaj Finserv. It's about 4.5% already again today, and this can head higher now towards levels of 4,900 to even 5,000 in the coming week or so. So one can go long Bajaj Finserv, need to have a deeper stop around levels of perhaps 46.25, and targets of 5,000 Bajaj Finserv are pretty easily possible.
Talking about Bajaj Finserv, Ruchit, stocks like Canfin Homes, Berger Paints have all made their debut on the F&O space now, taking, of course, take the F&O stocks to over 200. Bajaj Finserv, if you got a call on this one, Mohit really likes this counter. And also, if you can tell me what you think of Canfin Homes, MRPL, Berger Paints.
So just because some stocks have been included in F&O, that should not be a simple reason to go either long or short in any of the stock. One should definitely look what the trend of the stock is, and in case the trend is positive, then and if the risk reward is ratio is favorable, then only one should look to go long. In case if it's if one is looking to trade in these new F&O listed stocks, definitely coming on to stock specific moves now, Bajaj Finserv, the long term trend or even the short term trend for the stock is positive. In this recent up move of last couple of months, the stock has not breached 20 EMA even once. So I think keeping a stop loss below 4,285, the one can look to trade with positive bias. We can expect target around 4,800 to 4,850 coming in the stock in very near term. Even Canfin Homes, in fact, the housing finance sector as a whole has done quite well in last during the April series. Even if we see some other stocks such as LIC Housing Finance, Diwan Housing Finance, all the names have been doing quite well. Canfin Homes, definitely the trend continues to remain positive. We can expect levels around 2,750 coming in this series. So I think one can look to go long, keeping a stop loss below 2,500 in this stock.
Couple of stocks that have had a very good run in the last week. In this week has been TCI Developers. It's up 42% for the week. Indian Bank is up 22%. Bank of India is up 18%, and India Cements is up 16%. Mohit, Ashish, do you guys want to come to this one? Mohit, I'll come to you first if you've got a call on any of these counters.
Well, TCI Developers has seen a really good up move. However, it's cooled off from the highs of perhaps 550 zones. Now it's got a strong support area around 470. So if one's looking to go long, 470 is a good stop loss, and perhaps we'll see it remove again towards levels of 540, 550 zones. As far as Indian Bank goes, this also in the charts has a positive chart structure, trading at near 52-week highs, and this can continue to head higher towards levels of 330, 335 very easily. So even this could be bought with a stop around levels of 312 for further upside. Another stock that I actually like is MGL, Mahanagar Gas. This is actually looking very good in the charts. Can head higher towards levels of 1,055, 1,060. It's a buy with a stop around levels of 1,020.
Right, thanks Richard, Mohit and Ashish for joining in this morning. That's the view coming in on the street. D Street, of course, kicking off the May series on a somber note. Second day of losses is what we're seeing. 9,300 is getting threatened, but for now being respected. 9,312 is what we've got on the Nifty. With that, we'll slip in a break. We'll come back. Mahesh Patil, Co-Chief Investment Officer at Birla Sun Life Asset Management, will join us, so stay tuned.